Oh, morning. My sinuses decided they want to be unhappy. Ugh. Going to the thing and Bear Grill pops up. Of all the people, you know. Alright. Okay, so I've got the chat up. I don't expect to see too many people in the morning because people work. The people who would be interested in this are probably working. But it's raining and I can't go outside, so figured I'd work. Oh. Make sure I get the stream synced up here. That used to auto sync. I guess it's different. Oh no. Pardon me for a second. So how have you all been? I've been fine. My uncle came down, cousin came down to visit. Did that Sunday. Yesterday I did some riding, and then I came back and did some coding. So, what I've been working on is the turn-based system. Took me a few days to think through how I wanted to handle that, whether I was going to use classes or structures or a template system. And I decided on going with structures. So here's my game mode. And also I had to decide on who was going to hold this information. So I decided to have the game mode house this information. So I have a structure. So F action create building is the particular action that is here, and then I have a structure for the actual action queue. I could have done it as classes and then benefited from inheritance, so I didn't have to rewrite some things. The advantage of it is when you're writing your code, you want to try to avoid using or reusing code if you can. Inheritance allows you to kind of get the best of both worlds, because you're essentially copying the code from the parent into whatever's inheriting it, and then you're updating it for the next thing. But with a structure's the same thing, except you don't have inheritance. So I'm manually moving things forward, but this is kind of what I'm doing. So I'm separating all of the particular action types that you can have into their own structure, because I want that data to be its own chunk that can be moved around and deleted or added or whatever. So I experimented with this one. You can see I prepped to do the others, but I just turned them off. I was getting some errors with Unreal being kind of picky. So if you're coming from C#, C# lets you do some things that you can't do in C++, because C++ is more strict. The thing that annoys me the most so far is names. So in C#, you can reuse the same name as long as the moment you implement that thing, you specify which one it is, right? So you'd want to avoid ambiguity, but there's ambiguity and then there's just being annoying, right? So this structure is its own scope, right? This declaration for the player is its own scope. Nobody else is seeing it, right? Inside of my class here, which has its own scope, there is a player variable. Okay, so two different scopes should be able to use the same variable name. No problem there. Okay. Within my class, down here, like on my functions, this function and that function, they take in a reference to the player. So they take in, a pointer reference to the player. Cool. But I can't use a capital P here because it'll give me a naming conflict. It says, hey, you'll have ambiguity because we have a player variable defined in the class, and I also am defining one locally inside of this function, and this function exists inside that class. It says, hey, those two things bump. But in C#, you can do that as long as you specify at runtime which one you're using. So having to come up with unique names every time I want to have a local instance of that is annoying enough that I was happy I was not streaming at the time that I was doing it. We'll say that. There was a lot of cursing involved. Now this is perfectly fine. C++ doesn't care. I can do this, and it doesn't care. As long as this one is different than the one in the main class, that's fine. As inconvenient as it is to use lowercase, because I want consistency in things that I write, but whatever. However, a U function gets a little bit iffy. So down here, you'll see this is player in queue, planet in queue. I am not allowed to, in a U function, because the U function creates its own name table from what I get. Pretty much any of the U function macros or whatever, they create their own little name table. And if I use the lowercase version of this, it'll tell me I can't do that. It'll say, hey, this is already declared somewhere. And it's like, technically yes, but I'm going to differentiate it later. Like, that's just kind of annoying. So I had to come up with a unique name. Irritating. But then I implementing it over here. So the way the function works is it takes in the player who's initiating that action. And then those actions are typically executed on a planet. So if I'm docked at a planet and I say, hey, I want a construction bay or I want to build a ship or whatever, that all happens on the planet. So I need to know who's calling it and what planet it's being called on, and then what building is being fed in. Although I think I might take this out because while I want to know what building is going in it, I can... This is where I was like, I don't know. I can get that from the building list of the planet. I can get the type of building from the building list. So there's a moment where I'm kind of reusing a piece of code where I probably could get away with not reusing that. So this feels a little redundant, but we'll get back to that. And then the build time. This one might also be redundant because I need to get the build time from the building itself. So to pass in the build time, I don't think that's necessary. I should be able to get it from the building, but I digress. So anyway, I got that running, and then we have update queue. This is working, sort of, but I am getting an error when trying to remove an item from the queue, so I had to get rid of that, but we'll take a peek, see what it's doing. Build successful. Hooray. Jer Bear is over there. Snuggled up. I would pick her up and show her off, but then she'll want attention. Jerry is very heavy. She has very coarse fur. And it gets into everything. Yesterday I was covered in fur. But she's cute. And petting her is a temptation. Alright, yeah, so I'll open that so you can see what I did on the blueprint side. So originally, when you would hit a construction button, it would run this, and I would specify which one, if it's a refinery or whatever, and it would output that object being built. But now that worked and everything, but now I need this to be turn-based. So I moved that into the queue, so this is over here for now. So I'm adding refinery to the build queue. Same kind of deal, same kind of logic, except you can see here from the docked planet, I get the building list, and then I'm just passing in the building that is associated with that button, so I'm passing in the refinery. And I'm grabbing that particular one off of the building list, and then I'm grabbing I'm just passing in the build type here. I could pass it in from there. Now this bugs me. This is something that bugs me a little bit. On the building list, if I go into the planet, so right here where I define my building, so I've got refinery and starport. I only have 2 buildings defined here, and I've added it to the building list. So on my building list, the order is 0 is refinery and 1 is starport. Okay. On the building types, if I go back to where's my helpers? I see helpers.cpp, but I need the helpers.h file. Where does it go? Where did they go? Alright, I don't see it, but I'm going to go ahead and just grab it off of the Explorer. There we go. So in the actual enum, it's ordered like this. So it's actually item 1 and then item 2. Item 0 is no type, and then the last item is the last. And that's really a sorting thing, so I can use... So if I need to search through an enum type and grab one by index, you can do that, but Unreal does its own way. So there's a macro that handles that. It gives you an enum range. So it takes the enum name, and then the starting and ending sorting values. So I'm saying, hey, start the sort here and end the sort there. I did the same thing for, iron and petroleum and whatever not. I may just remove node type and last from here, just so it's more consistent. But this is where it gets a bit weird, right? So I have to do whatever the enum value is minus 1, right? Because this is 1, but on this one it's 0, so minus 1 would give it 0, and then so on. But the one on this, if I break this link, you can see this has the same list, right? I'm using the enum for this, so it should be 0, 1, 2, 3. So if I'm outputting this one at whatever that value is, when this one comes out, it should be one number off, but it comes out fine. And when I did the reverse math to add it back, it came out backwards. But okay, I'm gonna go with what's working, you know. But anyway, so I get the build time from there, and then that gets added. So I'll compile, we'll save that, and then we'll run it. I don't need those, actually, and 4 is fine. Okay, so I'm in, and I'll bring up the game mode. So game mode. Welcome to the stream, by the way. And I need the, what am I looking at? The queue. Alright, so here's the building queue. Currently no items in it. Also, I've added a timer. I forgot to mention that I added a timer. So people can't sit here all day and whatever. So 2-minute timer. Anyway, so if I hit and add a building, that goes to my building queue. So the player who created it, the planet that it was created on, and the type of building, and its build time. So that's being logged correctly. And if I grab the other building, again, the player, the planet, what it is, and how long it's going to take to build. Okay, and if I end my turn, timer starts over, player 2, the building list still exists, and player 2 now has an option to add stuff, so I'll add stuff for player 2. And you can see here's the next player, what planet they're on, what building, and then so on. So that works. Now, I do not have it set up to tell you, hey, you're already building that thing, so I can just spam a bunch of them. So I got to fix that, but it is working technically. So the next part of my task is, before I go fix any of those bugs, to make sure at the end of everybody's turn, those actions are actually executed. So some things need to happen in between that space. So if it's a ship and you're sending it to somewhere, that needs to happen, you know. Buildings can, so let's say like on my next turn, so if I end turn and now it's player 1's turn, on this turn it would be okay for the building to be finished here, right? So anything that's being constructed would be okay to be finished on the beginning of that turn. The things that need to happen in that limbo space in between the turns would be like sending ships out, you know, any attacks that have to happen, you know, that should happen in that kind of limbo space. So I have to figure out a way to handle that. For the timer, if you're interested, what I did was I created a turn timer with the different you know, values or whatever. So milliseconds, seconds, and whatever not. So I have the amount that I'm counting in, and I have its reset time. The reset time, those are going to be the ones that are on the menu. If I give an option for players to adjust the time, these will be the ones that get adjusted. I did originally count it in milliseconds, but I thought that was too distracting, so I took milliseconds off. And then I have, I've got another clock that I'm going to be setting up for game time to be stored, but we'll get to that at some other point. Well, what's happening with that is, where's the timer? Here's game time, here's my turn time. So in turn time, it just checks that the game started, and if the turn has started, and if it's not paused. Although I don't think I'm going to allow pausing in the game because it's going to be real-time turn-based. So it would be kind of a, you know, jerk move to pause the game and then everybody's waiting for you to come back. You know, there are a few live action kind of turn-based games that allow you to pause, but most of them don't. Like in StarCraft, you can technically pause it, but it gives you a timer. So if you pause the game, I think you get like 2 minutes, and then you got to come back. But we'll see. I don't know if I'm gonna keep that. But anyway, so it counts down the time. I'm doing get world seconds. This returns time in seconds, which is fine. And so I'm subtracting that from here, and then I just check to see if my seconds have gone past 0, and if the minutes are still there, whatever. So this has to be called first, because this one could be true at the same time that this one is true. So I have them separated. But this gets called first. Check it to make sure. So if all the minutes are gone and all the seconds are gone, then we're done. And that says, hey, the round is no longer there for you, and then it broadcasts. So the broadcast just says, it clicks the button for you. That way, if you're away from keyboard or you're just taking too long, it automatically rolls through to the next turn. So, and then the updated timer is here. I did run into an issue where, you can see here, I was doing it as 59 seconds, but it would hit 59.0 and then immediately roll to 58, so it seemed like it was skipping 2 seconds. So I just rolled it to 60, so now it looks correct. A lot of times it's about what visually looks correct, so that's fine. And then the reset timer gets called at certain points and such. So, and then on this side of things, all I'm doing is so I'm updating the turn time on an event. I'm just updating the text. That text is here. You can say I have it set up to take in milliseconds, but I decided not to use them. So on here, I'm just getting those values from the game mode. The time in minutes, I'm just passing that directly in, and that's going to an append. It's actually not going to this append, it's going to that append, but seconds go here, and then colon, and then, minutes go here, colon, and then seconds. And then I'm passing that in, so I'm using a 2 integer. And then there's a little drop down on that. I'm just saying stay in 2 digits for the seconds. For the minutes, because I'm not going over a single digit, I just passed it straight in. And the same thing for milliseconds. If I had the millisecond timer running, you would see the milliseconds on there. But I'm no longer counting them. So I'm going to remove these, I think, at some point. I might keep them there for testing if somebody says, hey, they want to see the milliseconds, but I thought it was very distracting. While you're playing the game, you see the milliseconds ticking. So, but yeah. So what should be the next thing on the list of things to do is I need to have those events update on the next turn. Or update in limbo space. I don't know which better. Turn space or limbo space. Because let's say you were building a defense building, right? And you say, hey, I need a turret or a satellite or something in my orbit. So you do the thing, and it says, hey, it takes 1 turn. Okay. And then all the players do their thing. Another player sends out ships to attack or whatever. And then after all the turns are done and all the things are being executed, the ships would be sent, but your building wouldn't finish until the beginning of your next turn. So you'd be like, hey, well, I built that for that scenario. So I might have everything execute at the very end of whatever. If it takes 2 turns, it might be at the end of all turns. I don't know, what do you think? Should it be the beginning of the next turn, or should it be at the end of all turns? Beginning of next turn, end of all turns. So, experimenting is going to be the thing that makes the difference, I think. Once I have buildings and ships being queued, I will do a build, and you guys can download it and test play it. I expect a couple days to get to there. We'll see. But yeah, the big crux is going to be at the end of all turns or at the beginning of the next turn for some of those things. It might just be simpler to do it all at one in a programming sense, just for consistency. Okay, so I'm going to hit the stop button there. So to have this update, how am I going to do that? I need to be able to check all at the end of all turns, and then need a message to be sent out. Where is that going to go? So right now on planet, where is create? All right, so on construct building, those get checked. Resources get eaten. And then the construction flag for that building gets thrown. So this isn't happening, I don't think. Or maybe it is. Maybe it does get thrown. I can check. It probably is. So I might move this to a separate call. We'll see. I mean, it makes sense that it is getting called or getting set. So I hit that. That got added to the queue. What planet am I on? Planet 2. So planet. Second planet in the list. Let's get its building list. So it did not get checked here. Okay. Yeah, so when I'm hitting this, it's adding it to my queue, but it is not deducting any resources. So then, should it deduct resources on the initial set? I think so. I think it should, when you hit the button, it should deduct resources. And it should mark it to be in the queue. Yeah. So I can hit stop here. Alright, so I'm going to go back to, where is it going to be? Building on construction stats. It's planet stats. Okay, building. So I'll make a bool, and this will be so I'll make is in queue. Let's come back to planet. I'm going to turn this one off. And I'll set that one. Then I can kill two birds with one stone. I can say, hey, this is in the queue. Instead of calling construction complete, maybe I can have it just say added to queue. Right now I don't have the log up, so for now I think I'll just do that. Yeah, I'll just keep it simple. Good enough. So we'll add that, and then so how you guys doing today anyway? What are you all doing on a Tuesday morning, not at work? It is Tuesday, right? Or is it Wednesday? It's Tuesday. Had to check. Welcome to the stream. How's your morning going? It's weird being up this early. Not really. I'm up early most of the time. Alright, so that gets called. How do I want to set these? What I could do is call construct building and have one of the flags here be to check if it's in the queue, and if it's in the queue, then it fires or whatever. Sorry, I'm just thinking through the problem. Planning out where it needs to go. So I'm already checking if the building's already constructed. And then I could check here if it's already in build queue. So cast to the building type -1. I was just thinking whether or not I should update the build time so that but no, I don't think I'm going to update the build time here. I'm going to update the build time on the queue itself. This will just prevent it from being fired a second time. So I'll just return out. So what these do is it prevents the function from running. These are just little checks. So like, I don't know if you ever saw the video Never Nester. It's a great video for programming. The paradigm is to avoid nesting your statements more than like 3 or 4 nests in, because it just gets obnoxious. So instead of nesting every situation so many times, you can look for ways to halt execution so that you don't have to nest everything. So in this case, I could check if this and then have the next nest, if the next thing, if the next nest, if the next nest, if the next nest. Sure, I could do that. But I could also just check to make sure things need to happen. So like, so first thing is I gotta check to see if the player exists, and if the player in fact owns that planet. If those two things fail, it should just report you don't own this planet. The function will just cease. It won't go. The next thing would be, is the building already constructed? If it's already constructed, then we're not going to do anything else in the function. We'll just exit. So the next thing up, is it already in the build queue? Well, if it's already in the build queue, then we're going to leave. So next thing up, do we have enough resources? So now we've gotten through all the other checks. Do we have enough resources? If we have enough resources, if we don't, it just exits and says you don't have enough. But if all these pass, then finally it does some work. And there is an extra check here. And I wonder if this is just extra redundancy. I don't know if I need this one, because I'm technically checking it here, but and then these can return out. I've got 2 errors. What are these 2 errors? They're probably not real errors. Okay. So I'm going to hook that up. Let's go ahead and see if that'll fire. IntelliSense says there's 2 errors, but it's going. Alright, so we'll jump back into here. Okay, we are down here. So that macro is macroing. I can pass this through here now. And I think that'll work fine. And I can pass this one through here. And I think that'll work fine. So it should check the box, but not technically build the building. So 2 planets and 2 players. That should be good enough. So if I hit the button, building, did it say already added to queue? That was weird. Already in build queue. Let me see what's happening here. I haven't built this one yet, so I'll go ahead and just build it. Okay, so now we're going into the construction. We'll walk through. I can probably just skip over, right? We know we have the player and we know we're on this. Cool. Skip down. Construction's false, so this should not pass. Is in build queue comes out true. Why? Oh, I know why. I didn't set the value. It's defaulting to true. Okay. Let's continue. I'll hit save all just in case. Oh, let me exit. Save all, and then I'll come back. So I updated the structure for that, but I never actually... Why is tick angry? Class object has no member for tick. You say that, but you're allowing super to run and super... Okay, whatever. I'm going to continue on. Where is... It's up under here for the building. Okay, so refinery, we have that. B is constructed. Refinery dot B is in queue. Should be false on beginning. And I'll just grab that. Do that again here. Yeah. Okay. So when you set up a structure, you do have to predefine it. You can do some default values if you like, but this is where you have to set it up. I'll have to do that for each ship as well. Okay. Okay. So now, building added to build queue, and I should see that over here, right? So game mode, queue. So refinery has been added to the queue. If I hit it again, it allowed it to go a second time. So, okay, I did not. I know what I did, and I'm dumb. Okay. I need to branch this. I'm gonna need 2 of those. I need a not. No, I do not. I do not do that. All right. So if these are false, we should be able to go through. Okay. I gotta do it down here as well. Now this is like where it comes to like repeating code. If I just pass in the correct thing, I don't have to repeat as much. But this is a different button. So at some point it has to receive the information. Alright, I guess I'll do this. I don't want to repeat code. Let's try this again. I want to see the build queue. Okay. Building out of the queue. And let it go again. Now it's not eating the minerals. It only ate minerals once. So the function is exiting. But why is this one not exiting? I'll just do this one. Because constructed didn't happen, construction is still false, so. Instead of doing it as this, I'll do another branch. Really, this is the only one I care to check. I don't technically have to check this one. So I think I'm good just to check this one. Because if it is constructed, it won't get to here. And that check will happen on the function. I assume my logic is sound, but my logic's been kind of foobar, so. Once again, let's try this. Yay. No longer adding it to the queue. You only get one. Building is already in queue. Building is already in queue. Can in turn see if the next player is able to add queue. Building added to queue, and I can't do it in again. New building in queue. Okay. Okay, so that seems to be working. I can't add too many. And then I might gray these out once they're done. Make them inactive or something. But I'll need to be able to cancel the action as well at some point. Which means these need to go into a menu that is accessible to the player. But okay, that's working. So now we need to update that. So when do we update it? Okay. Let me go up to... where is that being? On the construction... Make sure that those are set. Let's see if I can preset those on here. Because I would set these to null. I don't know that I need to, and I don't know that I can, but I can do this as a null pointer. Let me see if I'm allowed to set default values on these. Okay. That way when it's constructed, I don't have to worry about setting them. If you don't predefine things, you can get garbage values. I don't know if that's true in Unreal because it has its own rules, but in C++ in general. Okay. Make sure everything still works. Add already in queue. And no breakage, right? Okay. So all that works. Okay, let's see if I can do the next step here. So this one, same kind of deal. I want to check if the player is still alive and whether or not they still own the planet. Because pretty much if they're dead, they shouldn't be building anything. And you could lose the planet in between actions being completed. So, in theory, I should be able to remove the current action from the queue. But this was flagging as an error last time. I don't know why that's flagging. It says binary operator not found to take a left-handed operand type from the F action create building, or there is no acceptable conversion. Why can't I remove it? So remove, it takes in the constant at the item. This should return the item itself. I mean, I can... No, I can't pass it in as an address. So if I don't need to do that... Because this should be the item that gets returned. I'll come back to it. I don't know why I'm not allowed to remove that. I don't think I can pass in the index by itself. Right? The index would be I, and that's not acceptable. Let's see what other remove options I have. Let's try remove at. Removes an element given the location, optionally shrinking the array. Let's try. Can I pass it an index? Huh, I don't know. I've never used remove at, so I don't know how it works. Let me see what the overloads say. I don't know if IntelliSense is just having a hard time catching up, but I'm not getting the list of overloads. Like if I hover over, you know, it'll tell me that's weird. Looks like the function expects a reference. Yeah, I thought so, but when I tried passing that in as reference, it did not take it. Right, I tried passing that in as reference. It didn't go. I can't pass it as pointer. Maybe I can create a temporary. I don't know. What is this thing called? Action create building. Try doing it this way. Oops. Let's see if I can get away with that. No. I tried, but that one gave me an error as well. Let me do remove that. Okay, it took that. Let's try it. Hey, we gotta go. Yeah, that might do it. Thanks, Dylan. Yeah, that looks like it's going to go. Alright, so when do I want to call... When do I want to call update queue? I want to call that... Where's update turn? Update turn. Alright, so... How do I want those to fire? So at the end of all the turns, let's see, I gotta think about how I want that to execute. While I'm thinking about that, let's go finish this function. Alright, so that's working here. I'll clear this off. Thanks again, Dylan, that was helpful. Alright, so if player's dead, we'll remove him off. So now let's check to see if we have the correct amount of build time. Alright, so... I want to see if the build time is... Let's say if it's less than... I guess action queue, create building, index, planet list, no, building list. And then the building type that's going to go into there. That's going to be action queue, create building. Thank you. Do you play any RTSs? Or any turn-based games? And then this has to be an int. So I'll get an int out of that. Let's see. -1. Build time. That's a bit of a mouthful, right? So if it's less than that building's build time, then we'll up it and break, I think. So now that comes back to here. Remember I was saying that we had, I'm taking in the build time, but I don't think I need to take in the build time because I need to compare it. So instead of taking that in on this function, I may just keep it at 0 and then update. Because if I pass it in, they'll be equal to. So I'm going to take that one off, and I'll take this one off. Then I have to go back to the declaration. We'll take it off of here. Looks like it's still angry. Maybe IntelliSense just hasn't caught up yet. Run it, force it to refresh. Okay, let me check here. Yep, so this gets broken because we're no longer checking that. No longer checking that one. I think it's safe to not go farther on that part. Okay, so now we'll check, make sure we have the build time elapsed. Okay. think it would be safe to else here. Okay, so if we are greater than or equal to that build time, then we can say, hey, that building gets built. So action queue dot create building will get its index dot planet building list action queue create building planet building type. Make sure I cast that. And then we want to get the building, and we want to say is constructed. True. Okay. But it would no longer be in the queue, so I should take it out of the queue. Also, we'll say is in queue. That'll be false. And then action queue dot create building dot remove. So I'll have to do something about this, because one of the checks on the button press is checking to see if it's not in queue and then go to add it. So I'll then check if it's constructed and then just skip out of it. And then is there anything else for this function to do? I don't think so, but it's not necessary for me to break here because there's nothing else to do. This is the last thing, and it will just exit on automatically. So I think that's good. I want to be able to test this, but I don't have a way of calling it yet. Because up here, Where's update turn? There it is. Welcome back to the stream, or welcome to the stream if you've just joined. So when you hit at the end of all turns, should I just have it roll back to the next player and just allow execution to go? I was going to create a sort of waiting space, you know. At the end of all turns, you wait until all things execute, and then the round starts again. For now, I just want to test to see if this function is going to work, so... So let's go back to the beginning, and then we'll say update action queue. What did I... Yeah. Update action queue. IntelliSense is just being slow. Okay. So let me add a couple players. Sure. Game mode. We want to see the queue. Yay. And we'll all make a construction. Build time's coming in at 0, but the build time should update each time we roll the dice, right? So I'll only do one building, and then I'll say end turn. This player will do a building, and then we'll end turn. That player will do a building, end turn, and this one will end turn. So now I'm back to player 1. So that did update. I'll have to change that a little bit because I should have it by now. But you know, How long should it be for a full turn? Like if I did it on, well, this would be the start of the next turn, so I should have it by now. So yeah, I'd have to change that. But we'll just continue to end turns. Interesting. I didn't see anybody else update. Nobody else updated on these. I wonder if I was gonna say I wonder if I'm breaking out of it and that's halting it. But end turn. Okay, this got updated. 1, 2, 3. So one of them got removed. Okay. So I'm on player 1. And I can probably add it because they didn't put a block in there. Yeah, I was able to add it. I shouldn't be able to add another one. I'm getting building is constructed, but it's letting me add them. Let me try adding this guy. Building already in queue. So that one is ceasing fire. Okay, so let's stop. I'm going to go back to here. And then here. And I'll add a branch here. There we go. So we got that one, that one. I'm only doing 2, but it's fine. Should be able to see. I've added it. I can't add it again. End turn. I've added it. I can't add it again. And then I'll end turn. And can't add it. Good. This one still didn't get updated. That one got removed. And then building's already constructed. I can't add it. So that's good. For the next player, his is still going. So I need to see why that's failing. So let's go to here. Actually, I'll just call it there. And I'll hit continue because I want to call on the next player. Oh, that player got it now. So yeah, the break is taking me out early. So we'll check this. And we should be able to step in. Well, no, we know this part's true, so we'll skip that. Okay. So the build time currently is 0, and then the build time on that particular thing is 1. Yeah, so I don't need to break. I won't break here. We only have one thing to do, so I'll remove that. On this one, I don't need to break here. So I was going to check and then update the build time, but I could just update the build time and then check if it's within range, and then do the work. So here, we will update the build time, and I'll just flip the script, remove the else. And that should do for that, I think. The thing I'm worried about here, though, is the reason I broke out was that, let's say we get to here and the player is dead, or this condition's met, and this action gets removed. Well, the next step is going to happen on this index, and then we're going to get an error, because that index won't be removed. It'll be the wrong index, or it'll do the operation on the wrong index. That's what I'm predicting will happen. And I can test that by destroying one of the players. Let's do 3 players. I'll make 3 planets. Game mode. Q. Alright, so we'll add it, and turn, add it, and turn, add it. And then I'll end the turn. I don't need to break here. Or add a breakpoint there. Okay. So on player 1, already constructed, I'll end turn. Player 2, already constructed. This one's in queue, already constructed. That's where one player got ignored. Let me try that again. I'll just do 2. Everything's in. I'll end turn. You got your stuff, end turn. Huh. So it is skipping. Let me test the other thing, which is what happens if I destroy a player So for this player, I will make 1, and I'll end the turns, and I'll just go back. I'm going to make a starport. Okay, so now I can construct some ships. Those are not in the queue yet, so it's fine. I'm on planet 2. So planet 1 would be here. Make sure that's what I got. Yes. Starport required. Oh, I guess I have to go, because starports are 2. I should have a starport by now. Really? Player 1. It says buildings in queue. Okay, that's interesting. Let me exit. I got some errors, but it's fine. I'll add this. I think those little messages should have a background because I can't read them. That star is always in the way. Building already in queue. Didn't I test this already? Why is that breaking? Ah. This is one of those reasons why repeating code is bad, because I did it twice and I made an error on the second one. You want to try to avoid repeating code if you can. Having a single function that does this and takes in a thing makes sense. You know. What I could do is this. To simplify this, because we're going to have a whole bunch of these on here, is I could have the button hit a switch and have that switch change an index and have that index pass in. That would be a lot cleaner. But I'll refactor it later. Anyway, so I wanted to make sure I save that. We'll go here. Alright, let's try that again. I can add this, add a starport. I can't add it twice. Okay, so in my turn, no, in his turn, I ended up gaining a starport. This one has not updated yet. Now I have it. So in turn, this guy I'll give him a starport because that takes 2 turns. I'll end the turn. On my turn, I'll make a ship or 2. I'm on planet 1. So he's on planet 2. They're right next to each other, so this is going to be a quick thing. So, of course, I get a break on end turn because the player died before the index got updated. So that is fine. That won't be able to happen in the actual game, so I'll hit continue. But here we go with the build index. this index is no longer valid, right? So that's what I was expecting. So it came through and checked so I'm guessing it removed it, but then it got down to here, it checked that index again, and it's no longer a thing. So I'm gonna have to fix that, but I'm not sure what to do to fix that. Someone's calling me, but I don't know who it is. I don't know who that is. It didn't come up as scam likely. But I had someone call me about this time yesterday. Different number though. Alright. Problem is if I remove the index and then I break, that breaks the loop. We no longer continue. I was going to have it call itself again. But then it would rerun everything again. So that wouldn't be good. Because let's say it went through and it updated a planet or whatever. Welcome back to the stream, or welcome to the stream if you're just popping in. Meta conundrum. So, if I remove the element, it shrinks the array. The next item in the list then gets a different position, which kind of screws things up. I could... Huh. I could just let the build queue keep everything. That's not good though. How can I remove an element and then start the loop over again? Well, I can't do that either. Same problem. Because if I, let's say, we got three elements, to look at. We go through the first one. That player is no longer there. Cool. We remove that player. The whole array gets reshuffled. We start the loop over again. Everything's good. The new object gets checked, the second object gets checked. No harm, no foul. But if it's later in the list, let's say it's the second element in the list. Alright, so the first element goes through, it passes this one. Second element then it gets down to here and it gets its index updated, but it's not ready to be whatever. But then on the next element, that player is dead, so that one gets removed and it restarts the loop. Well, then we're going to be at the beginning again for the first player, and he'll get updated, so he'll get a short order basically. He'll get 2 turns instead of 1 in that case. I could do it in multiple steps. I could do a step where on the first step we run the loop and we remove all dead players from the list. Sorry, just thinking through the problem. I don't think it's a very clean thing to do, but I think I might have to. have it run through the loop once, remove all the dead players out, run the loop again. Check for any updates, run the loop again, remove anything else. But that's not nice. So I could do this. So if we get a dead player, it reruns the loop. No, that won't work. That won't work. Like it'll work, but it won't work the way that I want it to work. Because that brings us back to that same problem, where if a player is dead in the middle of a stack, then they get to get this again. So instead of calling this again, instead of breaking out, I begrudgingly will do this. I run the loop once, check for any dead players. Run the loop again. Handle any actions that need to be handled. And then run the loop again. Like, this is the dirtiest way of doing it, but I think this is the way that's going to work. And this time we will check if any of these are complete. So if action queue dot create building index Let's grab the planet, and we'll get the building, and I'm just going to grab it off of this. Right here. I'll do it in 3 steps. I might be able to get away with index -1 and call again. No, that won't work. I don't think this will work either. Same problem. Every time it removes an element, it shrinks the array. So for the first loop, it loops and then removes a dead player. But if there's multiple dead players, that dead player, the array would shrink, and it would then, same problem, right? I know, not very entertaining watching me sit here stare at the screen. But thinking's a thing. You can't see inside my head. Or can you? Get out. Charging your rent. Oh. I could... I could go through the loop once, find all the dead players, or anything that's already been done. Go through it. And look for any active players. I think active would be better. Move all active players who are already in the queue to a temporary queue. Just completely wipe the old queue. Move all the players back in. It's got me thinking. I know, thinking's difficult. I think this is redundant. Sorry, still staring at the screen, doing nothing. I'm working through a problem in the brain. Man, this phlegm thing is annoying. And I'll grab this in the positive. Okay, so I think this will go. So I'm checking to see if the player is active and that the planet is still owned and that excuse me, the thing that they're making is currently in the queue. I think that's a safe check. And then down here, and then I'll add them to a temp queue. And then I will just override that queue, and then I'll rerun it and do any updates. And see what that does. Game mode and queue. Although they should have been built here, so but then those are removed. So that kind of worked. So I'm on player 1, let's make a building. Can't add it, it's already constructed. Let's add this one. End task. Can't add, it's constructed. I'll add this one. Okay. One, two, three. Those really should have been updated a turn earlier. Let's see if I can remove the inactive player. We'll both add something to the queue. And I'll just grab that. So 2 things in the queue. Player 1. Let's make... player 1 needs a start port. Should have added that earlier. It's going to take a couple turns. Starport state. That makes sense. Okay. This guy will add a starport. We'll end the turn. This guy will do some murdering. I'm on planet 1, so I need to grab planet 2.
Yeah, I think the protein shake, so I'm gonna close your door real fast.
Okay.
It's gonna be real loud.
Okay, so I'm going to send the ships. And then I'll hit the update turn index, and then it should be clear. So let's go ahead and send the ships. You can see they're going. Okay, so he should technically be inactive. Now end turn. And those were removed. So that looks like that worked. Let's exit, see if there's any errors. I got errors. Some errors for when the ships hit, I think. Yeah. But that'll be another date. Let's rework this just a tad. So I think that's okay. What I think should be changed, how could I rework it? Maybe I can go through and get all... I could just check if the player's active. Check the first two conditions. If they're not active or they're not whatever, we can skip them entirely. I think I can do it all in I think I can do it all in one cycle. Okay, so we'll do this. Alright, if the player is active and they own the planet, then we'll go into the next step, which will be this. I'm going against the never nesting situation here. Okay. If this condition happens, I can just check on the next step if the building is constructed. It doesn't really matter. If this happens, we'll just say if it's still in the queue. Then I want to take the action queue and set it to the temp queue. Boom, 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 boom. We'll pass in this guy. That doesn't need to be 2 steps, a single step is fine. And then down here, we will run this as we were doing, and then I'll just comment out in this group here. That should handle all the cases. In theory, if my logic is sound. Right, so if the player is active and we still own the planet, then we can update stuff and then check this. If this passes, then on the next step we'll just check to see if it's still in the queue. If it gets false, it's no longer in the queue. If it is in the queue, we'll just add it to the temp, we'll clear everything and redo it. It made sense in my brain. Looks like it's decent outside. Might go out for a ride. Jabra likes having her face held. That's like her thing. Okay. I'll add 3 planets this time. Player 1 needs to have a starport. Player 2... Player 3 will get the game mode, and we'll check the action queue. Okay, there are a couple things in the action queue. We can see player 0 has that and that. And then that one, and then that one. So one full turn, everybody should get their refineries. So if I hit this, all the refineries should be made, and then there's still a starport left. That looked like it worked just fine. Okay. Player 2 is on planet 1. I'm going to have player 2 start a starport. And I'll have player 3 start a starport. Okay. So they're at 0. I'm at 1. I'll end turn. So now their starports are in the making. My starport should be finished. So I should be able to make ships. Ship ready, ship ready. Okay. I'm on planet 3. So planet 1, 2, and 3. Let me send ships to this guy. I'll send 1 ship. Okay. That player should be removed now. So if I hit end turn, we don't notice anything yet, but player 2 should be dead. Player 2 should not be updated. Unless player 2 got moved and then this is player 3. Let's get active list here. Player 2 should technically be dead here. Because player 3 is dead. Okay, so if I hit next, yeah, player 3 is dead. So if I hit next, I should end up on player 1's turn. We'll go back and look at the queue. These haven't been updated yet, but now all those have been removed. That player should be removed. That looked like it worked. I'm going to exit. We've got some errors. We'll roll this dice again. Again, I'll build those, and you can have yours, you can have yours. And we know that all worked. Right? We'll end the turn. Oh well. Let me make some ships. Oh, I can't make ships yet. Player 2 is on planet 2. Okay. So now I should get my starport. They're all working on theirs. Player 2 should be the next in line for turn, and they are on planet 2, right? So player 2. In my list, planet, home planet. Home planet is planet 1. Yeah, because I'm on 3. So if I get the game mode, planets and list 0, 2, 1. Get the queue. Alright, so if I send some ships to this planet, here they go. Okay, so this player should be dead. It should go to the next player. It did. Player 3's turn. Cool. So it skipped player 2 because player 2 is dead. And now we should, if I end turn, those should clear off. They did. Okay, so that looks like it's working. We are getting this error, but I'm not too concerned with it just yet. I think that's happening because when the ship hits the planet, it does some checks to see if it can take it over. And then when let's say it was successful, the next ship hits it. I think it's trying to run those checks again. Because it doesn't happen all the time. It only happens on certain occasions. But I'll worry about that one later. This seems to be working, though. So I can send the ships and stuff. Well, I can... I can clear the list and get all the active stuff out. So this is working. I don't think I need this anymore, so I can get rid of this stuff. Okay. I'm going to take a break for a bit and hop off. Maybe go for a ride. When I come back, I think it's time to start working on building ships. And then I'll do sending ships. Because building ships needs to be on the queue as well, and then sending ships has to be on the queue. And then, of course, the question is, does all that stuff happen on player 1's turn, or should it happen in, like, limbo space? I don't know. I have to think about it. But anyway, I'm going to save here. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to go outside for a bit. Later.